Yeah.
Okay, are we audible?
Hello.
Excellent. Okay, we will start with our broadcast section, which will be embargoed until it's finished, and then we'll go into the dailies after that. And we will start with Vinny O'Connor for Sky Sports News, please.
Hi, Brendan.
Hi, Vinny.
Good to see you. And first of all, it's something that we're putting to all managers today because we've seen another case of racist abuse on social media, this time suffered by Jan Dander. We had a statement from Facebook where they said the person who sent this message has been restricted from sending messages for a set period of time. But they went on to say, we think it's important people have the opportunity to learn from their mistakes. If they continue to break our rules, this account will be removed. So no automatic ban for racist abuse. What's your view on that? And also, what mechanisms do you have in place to support your players if they're subjected to this kind of hate?
I think I mentioned it last week, Vinny. I think it's good that at least these companies are facing up to the fact that they have an actual responsibility to try and help nullify any of this type of behaviour, which is particularly offensive. So, but yeah, there's certainly something that they can do more of and take that responsibility and accountability to do something. Here within the club, there's it's very open here in terms of there's a lot of support for anyone who would come across any type of abuse. You know, we have a welfare department here who looks after our players and the needs of the players on and off the field. So, so yeah, the club and the players here are very supportive of anything where the players need that support, really.
I know you've got a few games to play between now and the Cup quarter-final, but can I just get your reaction to that draw?
Yeah, I think it was. We're happy. We knew whichever team we were going to take on. You get to a quarter-final of a Cup competition, it's going to be a difficult game, Vinny. So yeah, it's a long way off, but we'll look forward to it when it comes.
I spoke to Jurgen earlier. He mentioned that you messaged him this week and went on to talk about the respect that he has for you, for the job that you're doing at Leicester as well. Is it fair to say that respect goes both ways?
Yeah, it was obviously really sad news on his mother, and having been through that experience, and you can only imagine if you lost your mum, and it's bad enough being there when she does pass away. It's a really difficult moment. So for him not to be able to travel and go to the funeral, I just reached out to him because I had real sympathy for him in that moment. So in terms of the job he's done a brilliant job there. You know, been there for what must be near on 5 years now, and each year the team have grown and obviously become very successful. So. So yeah, I've a huge amount of respect for him, the work that he's done, and not just because he rented a house I used to own, but he's done a fantastic job.
You also spoke about the impressive response you've seen from you guys after just missing out on the top four last season, but the way you've responded to that. What's really been the key to getting that mentality right? And I suppose when you look back, did your experience at Liverpool in some ways help you in that respect? Because obviously you went so close to winning the title and then it didn't quite happen the following season.
Yeah, I just think experience is wherever they are, they will help you, Vinny. I think that I didn't lose the fact to the players that we'd actually had a really good season. You know, what our target was to arrive in a European place, and that's exactly what we did do. And of course, we were up in the top four for long periods, but ultimately we weren't quite good enough to get there. And there was multiple reasons for that, but ultimately we didn't arrive there. So let's learn from it. We achieved what we wanted to achieve, and let's reset again. And so important that you have that positive mindset when you're starting afresh the following season. So we were able to learn and use that experience and start afresh and take that real energy, enthusiasm into a new season. And up until this point, I'm very satisfied with how well the players have done.
So how significant do you feel this one game can be to your top four hopes this time around? And do you see it as a good time to face Liverpool because of their recent form, or more beware a wounded animal?
No, I don't think it'll define where we finish, but it's the next game. and it's against the champions, and it's going to be a really tough game for us. But for us, it's another game to measure our progress. I think that we've had a few games where they've been good games and others not. So, the game last season at home when we played against Liverpool, we started the game very well. The first 25 minutes of the game, we were excellent. I think what we've done is given away poor goals in some of the games against Liverpool. So if we can cut them out and play with the aggression that we have been and play with the quality that we have been, then we hope it can be another really good performance against a top team.
The fact that Jamie got just over an hour under his belt again in midweek as well, what will his presence mean against a Liverpool side that's struggling again at centre-half because of an injury to Fabinho? And I saw Jamie Carragher describe Jamie as there may never be a better transfer than Vardy's to Leicester in football history.
Well, it's certainly hard to argue against it. I think if you look at the player he is today, and I know at the time £1 million probably seemed a lot for a player who was playing non-league football, but if you look at what he's given to Leicester, and not just in terms of goals, his personality and his path has created has created so many aspirations for so many other players. So he's been a real figure of inspiration. But no, I think his legacy here will be was truly his journey, but also what he's given on the pitch as well. And he's up there with the very best strikers in European football. So to have him back, we wanted to give him some game time during the week to get his legs moving again. And he's always fit and raring to go, especially in the big games.
So Jamie and Ndidi both ready for 90 minutes?
Yeah.
And how's James Justin, Eos Perez, and any time frame on those two?
Yeah, Io is fine. He'll join the squad. Sadly for JJ, the scan hasn't shown up so well, which is it's a massive blow for us. He looks like he's done his ACL, which is a devastating blow for us because he's been incredible since he came into the team last year. Played in many positions. Wherever I've asked him to play, whatever position, he's been minimum 8 out of 10, and just developing as a top Premier League player. So for this to happen, he was obviously walking about after the game, and we hoped that he would be okay, but of course you have to wait until he gets the scan. So he's up in London today with Brian, our doctor, and just really trying to get all the expertise in terms of the next step, really. And it's a huge disappointment. But I know the boy. He's tough mentally. That's what makes him the player that he is, and he's also tough physically. So he'll come back a better player for it.
And just how is he then, Brendan? Just thinking, as you say, mentally, but because the way he's developing, it's such a massive blow at this stage of his career, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. But thankfully now, how the operations go, the players are back. We've had it obviously firsthand with Ricardo Pereira recently. Obviously, Ricky been out for a period of time. He's come back now and fitter and stronger, and getting his game time up. So that'll be a source of inspiration for him as he gets through his recovery. Yeah, he was upset yesterday naturally because he's been so robust. For me, he's just been absolutely incredible. He's the one player that's virtually played nearly every game since he's come in a variety of positions and performed to a very, very high level. And his confidence grown all the time as a Premier League player. And I'm pretty sure he wouldn't have been too far away from Gareth. So it's, whenever you're trying to piece together a squad, and for a player who can play to JJ's level and a number of positions, that's obviously will be important for any squad going forward. But he'll just get away now. He'll more than likely have the operation fairly soon, and then get back on his recovery, and then and now we're all fighting for him between now and the end of the season. Yeah,
we wish him a speedy recovery as well. Thanks, Brendan, and all the best.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Let's go to PLP and Pete Colley, please.
Hey, Brendan.
Hi, Pete.
I was watching a documentary of Liverpool winning the title last season, and at the very beginning, Klopp says that that you can only feel free in life if you have proper protection. And we saw that in Liverpool's team last year. Is that, in a nutshell, their downfall at the moment because of the defence and the amount of injuries that they've had? I mean, including, as Vinny says, like Fabinho out now.
Listen, I think if you lose someone of Virgil van Dijk's quality, I think now you see the level of greatness that he brings to the team, and it's always the measure of the best players. They make the others around them better. So it's a mixture of that and the uniqueness of the season, and of course they've been unlucky with injuries as well, like a lot of teams. We've all lost players over the course of the season, but of course, Virgil was a huge reference for the team. But they've still got fantastic players. The front line's still there. I know Jordan really well, and Jordan is a huge leader for Liverpool, on and off the field. And like say him and Millie will constantly drive the players. But they've set such a level over the last couple of years that if there's any drop off a touch, then of course everyone will focus on that. But they still get players that can play at a really high level, and they're up there challenging and will continue to.
You talked about Jamie coming back. Vinny mentioned that. It's a couple of little nags that he's had this season. It's almost like that conversation you don't want to have, isn't it? But what is the long-term plan at 34 for when it becomes too much for Jamie? How do you replace him? And is there a plan?
Well, yeah, you can't replace him like for like, of course, because that's his story, the path that he's been on, and what he gives. It's unique, really. I can't see another player like him in terms of where he's come from. But I'm not overthinking that side of it. I see him. He's still very fit. He's still very strong. You see him in the games. He's running. His movement. His hunger is still there. So that's what I view when I see him. And when you've seen him play this year, when he's fit and ready, he's a real threat. So we'll continue to have that. Like I said, I think he's still got a few years in him to being a really effective striker at the very highest level. Of course, the club will always have to be looking, not just in Jamie's position, but in every position. You're always trying to improve. You're always trying to develop. And of course, you always have to forward plan in terms of bringing other players in. But listen, whilst I've got Jamie Vardy here, I'm so happy he's at the level that he's at currently, and that will continue for me, like I say, for the next couple of years. But at the same time, of course, the club will have to plan forward at some point.
Reaching out to Jurgen this week, I mean, I know you lost your parents when you were quite young. I mean, what made you reach out? We all think to do these things, but to actually pick up the phone, what made you do that?
Just having empathy for the situation. Like I said, sometimes you have to have gone through it. My mother died when she was, 53 years of age, and I seen, obviously Jurgen's mother passing away at 81, and whatever age it comes at, once that sort of mortality kicks in, it's very, very tough. So when I seen the news and it came up, I one, because of his mother passing away, but two, then not being able to be there, because it's when you're in that situation and the positions that we are in, sometimes the role of supporting your other family members is very, very important, and that's something that you take on in the roles that we play in our families. So for him, for not to be able to do that, I had empathy for him, and I just wanted to share my condolences, really.
Cheers. Good man. Good luck.
Cheers, Pete. Thank you.
Cheers. Thanks.
Okay, let's go to Jason Bourne for Talk Sport, please.
Hi, Brendan. Thanks, Anthony. Brendan, let's start with James Justin there as well. I know he's out with this ACL potentially. I know it's a long-term injury. Is there any timescale of any kind that you can give us about his potential return in the future?
No, nothing at the moment. I think every player is different, Jason, how they recover. If you, I don't want to put any time on that. I think these are injuries. If you look at Ricardo's time frame, and it's probably going to be just either short or around about that same time. But yeah, I think, as I said, we're getting full consultation with the specialists on it. We're taking every opinion that we possibly can on it, and then we'll take it from there.
No, I understand that, of course. Just on James again, do you feel these kinds of injuries, not necessarily severe as this, but the injuries that have happened over the course of this season to not only your players but other players at other clubs, are inevitable given the schedule that's been happening, given the bang 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 nature of game after game after game in so many different competitions?
Yeah, no, absolutely, 100%. You only need to look at, I see Callum Wilson there out with a hamstring injury in the midweek, and he's been fantastic for Newcastle since he's gone in. So real empathy for him and for Steve. But you just look throughout every club, it's happening because of the nature of the games, the recovery. We've obviously got international football coming up in March as well. So it's so tough for the players, and like I say, it's going to be, if you have that little bit of luck between now and the end of the season, that hopefully your injuries can be minimal. We had it at the end of last season when we came back, where we lost a number of key players. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we don't this season, and keep as many of them as fit as possible.
Forgive me on this next one. I might be putting 2 and 2 together and coming up with 5. Obviously, Justin out for a significant period of time. Danny Simpson in and around the squad at the moment. I know obviously you can't sign players, but free transfers, free agents. Is that something you may look at, or would you potentially just go with what you have at the moment?
Yeah, we'll go with what we've got at the moment, yeah.
Cool. Let's go on to better things, shall we? James Justin been speaking ahead of this one. He says, you care about making each player better and that you've helped each player in the squad improve. Kind words, of course. Now, he's also said what he does for himself, not only for Leicester, but also to try and get him back in that England setup under Gareth Southgate. I mean, this kind of mentality is only something to admire, isn't it?
James Maddison?
Yes.
No, James Justin, yeah.
Sorry, James Maddison, yes.
Yeah. No, that's okay. He's a fabulous player. It's great to work with players that are driven and want to be the best that he can be. And he doesn't shy away from it. James, he has a clear objective. He understands the commitment needed. He's taken on that responsibility to be the best player that he can and to learn and develop. He knows the areas we've highlighted that. And it's been great to see his improvement on and off the pitch, really, over this last couple of years. But I've always said a real joy to work with, special talent, wonderful personality. And the beauty is, at his age, he's only going to get better. Like I said, another few years more at this level gives him more confidence and more experience at the level. Of course, when you have that experience, you'll play better. So yeah, been great to see him develop.
He's also said as well, James Maddison, that obviously things can still improve, but he's in the form of his Leicester career. Would you agree with that at the moment?
Yeah, I think what we've talked about with James and those forward-thinking players like Harvey and him, it is about efficiency. You have to be efficient. You have to have numbers to your game. You can't be a creative player, an attacking player, and go through the season we only a couple of goals and a couple of assists. The level that we want to get to, you have to produce. But these players are so hungry for that, and if you have that hunger in life to succeed, in like these guys, then of course you see that development. So yeah, you see how he's playing. You see the consistency. He had a few wee niggles early on in the season, James, but he's over them now, and yeah, he's either creating or scoring goals virtually every game he plays. So yeah, delighted for him.
Just one final one from him. Another positive player to talk about, Youri Tielemans. He's been described as the most complete midfielder potentially to play on the pitch tomorrow at the King Power on either side. I mean, how key is he to how you guys play and the way that you play? Well,
naturally, he's very important. And again, another player that is it's been brilliant to work with someone who is so young but so focused on his life as a footballer, and deserves all the accolades that he gets, because he's been consistently outstanding this season. 23 years of age, his tactical view of the game, I've always said, is at the very highest level. He's now adapted and worked very, very hard on the physical nature of the game, because it's something that when you come in from the European League, it's so demanding. And we've seen it across the leagues. No matter how good the player is, it can be very tough. But he's adapted to that. He's got himself stronger, more powerful in the gym. He's taken on board the elements tactically that we've talked about. And because he wants to be the best he can be, he takes that on board. He learns, develops, and now he's establishing himself, like you say, as one of the really top players at this level. What he gives us, we have someone who can win the ball, and Wilf, one of the best at recovering the ball in the league. And then Yuri's the guy that also can compete, but he sees the passes so early in the game, and he ticks the game along so well for us. So yeah, he's improving, and like I say, a great guy to work with.
Thanks, Brendan. Go well tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's go to Ian Stringer for BBC Radio Leicester, please.
Hi, Brendan.
Hi, Ian.
Again, I'll just reflect what everyone else has said regarding James Justin. Gutted for him and wish him a speedy recovery. Just on the injuries front, again, forgive me if these were mentioned earlier. I don't think so. Castagna and Fofana, are they available? Where are they, Brendan?
No, Timothy's not available. But he's out on the pitches now. He'll rejoin the training squad on Monday, which is good, and then he'll probably be another week to 10 days, I would say. So we'll see how he is. No, Wesley and Wesley Fofana is still a number of weeks away. So both of them not available for the weekend.
We're talking fullbacks, of course, because of James Justin. You've lost a left back, a right back, someone that could play in a three, an incredible player. But we were all talking about Daly Campbell in the FA Cup game, Luke Thomas. You've had Chilwell here, of course. You had a big impact in Trent Alexander-Arnold coming through at Liverpool. When did it become cool to be a fullback, Brendan, and why?
I think the modern game. I think you'll find a lot of the fullbacks are normally been transformed from being attacking players, either wingers or midfield players. Like you say, Trent was a central midfield player before he moved to the right side. Ricardo Pereira was a winger and can still do that job and fills in it behind. I just think now a lot of the players that play in the fullback positions, they need to have the capacity to pass the ball. They need to have a good, and high level of quality, as well as athleticism. So it's definitely a position that, is a very, very important position in your team.
How difficult is it to formulate a plan against Liverpool, particularly at the moment? People are talking about Liverpool. Of course, their form isn't what maybe Jurgen Klopp may have expected, and their form's not been brilliant of late. Do you look at this and think they're vulnerable, that it's a possibility you can get on the front foot and attack them? Or do you formulate your own game plan around yourselves? I hope you understand what I'm saying. That they're struggling. Do you go for them is my question ultimately.
Listen, I think you always have to. You look at your strengths and look at your qualities, and of course you always have to be aware of the qualities of the other team. And Liverpool still, even though they have players missing, they're an outstanding squad with outstanding players. So, but for us, it's we're playing at home, and like I say, if we've given up some cheap goals in the last couple of games against them. We're analysing the game from last Boxing Day. We started the game really well in the first half hour, and then we gave away a cheap goal and another goal, and then all of a sudden you lose the game disappointingly. So, but for us, it's the past. Let's learn from it. Let's focus on our own strengths, which is being aggressive, not being passive in the game, and using our talent. And when you play in these games against Manchester City, Liverpool, United, you have to run and run and run, and that'll be key for us tomorrow.
Finally, from me, Brendan, Jason asked you about Danny Simpson earlier on. You brought him in. He played in a 23s game. you know me, I'm a romantic old sausage. It's Valentine's Day at the weekend. Did you look at him with a view to maybe anything in the future, or did you make a decision and go no on Danny Simpson, or was it to help him out with his future?
Yeah, that's primarily what it was, Ian. He was a great servant here for the club, and his legacy is pretty much intact here on winning the title. I think that he was in a situation where he was recovering from injury. I've taken a lot of the under-23 players, the older ones that aren't out on loan with me. They're training with the first team, which has enabled Savante to get an opportunity to play, but that's left the under-23 short because, obviously our under-18s have been off for a while, and no one to fill in that position. So it helped both, really. Helped the under-23s that were very short on players, but also Danny to get some game time, and that was the sort of main reasons why he'd played. Nothing
Understood.
more.
Yeah, no, indeed. Understood. And Vontae was outstanding the other night, wasn't he? Good luck at the weekend, Brendan.
Thanks, Ian. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, everybody. We'll draw the broadcast section there.